Warning! Like Castlevania 1, this game also uses flashing lights, so if you're sensitive to that, don't watch the video, please. I don't want to be responsible for anything that could happen. Okay, on to the review. So, Castlevania 1 was pretty good, you know, if you watch my review of it. A wink, nudge, please watch the video, please. Castlevania wasn't only good, it sold pretty well too. Obviously, Konami wanted to capitalize on that, and the director, Hitoshi Akamatsu, had a genius idea. Make another one. And thus they began to develop Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. Akamatsu wanted to go for a more open style platformer, obviously taking inspiration from Metro... What the fuck is a Maze of Gallius? So this is another Konami platformer, which actually is a lot like Castlevania 2. It's open world, it's got a map, which Castlevania 2 doesn't have, never mind. It also has a lot of RPG mechanics in it, like a whole item menu and stuff. Also, the music's pretty good too. It's more clear to see that this is the game that Akamatsu cited as his main inspiration for Castlevania 2. There's probably one more thing I should say about Castlevania 2 before we start. People fucking hate this game. At least they do now. Back when it first released, it was praised almost entirely because it was long. Yeah, so people's standards changed, and nowadays people think it's bad, and it's kind of considered the black sheep of the franchise. Heck, you know the Angry Video Game Nerd? The guy that popularized angry video game reviews? The very first review he did was of this game and why it sucks. So, if you couldn't tell, I didn't have much confidence in this game to be good. But, enough preamble, let's go on to the review. So past the nice title screen, we get this prologue text. Step in the shadows of the Hell House. You've arrived back at Transylvania on business to destroy forever the curse of the evil Count Dracula. What? Well, when the game won't explain the story, then we gotta consult the manual. Alright, what do we got here? Congratulations, you now own the authentic Konami home version of Simon's Quest, one of Konami's many original arcade hits. Oh. Someone messed up. Okay, so the story is that 7 years after Simon killed Dracula and, that thing, he went to visit his family's resting place when suddenly a vision of some woman appears and she says that he has been cursed by, that thing. And that said, cursed is slowly killing him. If he wants to undo the curse, Simon's gotta get the 5 body parts of Dracula, take them to Drac's castle, and seal them. Because I guess he didn't do that before. Also, equally important, Simon looks like He-Man. That's a very important plot point. Trust me. To be honest, I actually kind of like this premise a lot. NES games weren't exactly known for having deep or original plots. Most of the time it was just very simple, especially platformers. There were exceptions, but they were very, very uncommon. Simon's Quest doesn't have a complex plot, but the premise is more original compared to, kill that guy, or save princess insert here. So I applaud the developers for cooking with their premise. One more thing before we actually start gameplay. I'm going to use a guide just to prevent me from getting super lost, because this game makes you do some dumb shit. So after hitting start, we end up in, wherever this is, some sort of town or something. Not much here. This guy's telling me to buy a white crystal. Guess I'll do that. I buy a crystal, go out into the forest, and, I think I got lost. So I reset my game and I actually read my guide instead of just skimming over it. So Castlevania 2 is an open world side scroller. A lot of people compare it to Metroidvania games like, well, Metroid or the later Castlevanias. In my opinion though, this game is way more like a side scrolling RPG than a Metroidvania, and it's way more linear than Metroid. You generally only go in one direction while you're exploring, and you really don't backtrack very much. Simon controls, like, almost exactly the same as the last game, although I think the platforming feels slightly less smooth. I don't know, I think it's just a me thing. One of the weirdest differences, though, is that hearts, which were only weapon ammo in the last game, are now the currency. It's so weird, especially since there's still ammo for the more powerful sub-weapons, and like, the first game already had the perfect money equivalent with, you know, the bags of money. I don't know. I don't know why they keep using the hearts for the weirdest things. Simon also now has an inventory with all his sub-weapons and stuff, which contributes to that RPG-like feeling. And about sub-weapons, they're okay, I guess. I never really relied on them as much as I did in the first game, because, spoiler, this game is easy as shit. The weaker sub-weapons don't take any hearts, which unintentionally makes the knife way more useful than it was in Castlevania 1, especially in the early game. A major mechanic of this game is also the day-night system, where basically, while you're exploring, after a while the night falls and enemies get more stronger and drop more hearts, and every town is completely deserted until the sun rises again. On principle, that's a fine mechanic. The only problem is that you have no idea when it's going to change, and like, it's not really more difficult as it is just more tedious, because, once again, this game's easy. And since towns are basically useless at night, you kind of just start grinding at night, waiting until the sun rises, just killing the same few enemies, because every enemy just immediately respawns once you walk away a few feet. It's not a very well thought out mechanic. Honestly though, the worst mechanic is dying. When you die, you just respawn back where you last were. What about when you get a game over? Same thing, you just lose your hearts. Which, I mean, you can just get them back from mindless grinding. If you couldn't tell, this is why the game's so damn easy. So gameplay-wise, the game isn't faring too well, at least it's nice graphically. It's about on par with Castlevania 1. In fact, I think it uses a few sprites from Castlevania 1. Like Simon himself. It's very obvious that they just kind of took his old sprite and redrew it. But I will say, his walk cycle looks much better than before. They slowed it down to look more determined and less like he's a waddling hunchback. The environments are also pretty good. Still as creepy and detailed even during the daytime screens, which is pretty impressive. But honestly, the best part is the music. It's really, really good. Even if there's only 9 songs in the soundtrack, yeah, I'm not kidding though. It's only 9 songs, counting the password screen and the credits theme. There's some damn bangers here, especially the one that most Castlevania fans know, Bloody Tears. I think this may be one of my favorite recurring songs in the series, even more than Vampire Killer. But, did you know? The Japanese version sounds different? Yeah, that's right. Much like Castlevania 1, Castlevania 2 was also released on the Famicom Disk System. And not only does it let you save, and this time the cartridge version actually has a password system in place of it, but Castlevania 2 specifically took advantage of the increased sound capabilities to make more complex music. Like, instead of they got I'm gonna be honest, I don't think they use it very well. While I do like the disc version of Blade Tears, heck, I kind of prefer it. Some of the other songs sound grating in the disc version, especially like Monster Dance. Besides that, the only other thing to note about the Japanese version is that I do not know how The Night Falls was mistranslated into "What a horrible night to have a curse" in the original version. And also the name is Dracula. Wait. I gotta put on the proper voice. Dracula 2, The Curse Seal. Holy fuck, that name sounds cool as hell. But enough about graphics and music and gameplay and stuff. Let's continue where we left off. So what I was supposed to do was get the white crystal and then head to this place. But Berkeley Mansion. So I decided to do that this time. Was it worth? No. This is the game's first manor, and the level design sucks. It's way too vertical for Castlevania controls, and the platforming isn't challenging at all. They just randomly stick fake blocks in it that make you have to redo the platforming again. And like, this isn't actually difficult, because if I die, I just respawn where I died. So it's honestly more frustrating than anything. Our goal in this mansion, and every other mansion, is to find this merchant guy, and then buy a steak from him, and use said steak to take a part of Dracula's body. So I do that here, and I get Dracula's rib. Oh, sorry, I possess Dracula's ribs. And Simon, for some reason, decides to use them as a shield. I mean, it works, so I guess he's onto something here. After that, we head through these caves and find the sub-weapon, the Sacred Flames, which, they'll be important way later. What else? Fuck these spiders. And then we end up in a town called, Ajaba. I buy some garlic, which, for some demented reason, is used to find secrets. I don't know. Then night falls. And you know what that means? It's time to grind! Isn't this game just the best? We buy, laurels, which, make Simon invincible. Then we buy the blue crystal, which we use at this lake to go underwater and arrive at our next manor, Rover Mansion. Same complaints as the last one, we get Drax Heart. Then we go all the way back to the first town and into the marshes and is that guy on the boat from Run Out of Blood? Whoa! Best character. Anyways, it takes us to the next mansion, but only if we have the heart equipped. I learned that the hard way. The next mansion is called Eifergore. Once again, nothing new. Same bad level design. Holy shit! Steph! Wow, our first boss! 3 mansions in! Legit, all he does is slowly float towards us and shoot 1 sickle. I don't know what's worse, how mindlessly easy this is, or the fact that I somehow died to it. At least defeating him gives us a golden knife. After that, we get Drax's eye and head to the town of Alba. We get a red crystal, and one of the NPCs tells me not to look into the Death Star. Ooh! Now, you may be wondering, how do we head to our next mansion? Well, we walk here with the red crystal and... Video games. This mansion gives us Dracula's nail, like a piece of his nail or something. Is this supposed to be his claw? Alright then. While heading to the next mansion, out of nowhere, this guy just randomly upgrades my whip into a fire whip, which is dope as hell. So our last mansion is La Ruba Mansion. And guess what? There's nothing new to talk about! Well, there is another boss, I guess. It's that thing, Carmilla, who is actually a staple boss of the series that shows up in later games. So that's something. She's super easy, though. We get Dracula's ring, like a wedding ring or something. I don't know. Well, we go past the last two towns, and now we reach Dracula's abandoned castle. And you know what? This moment's pretty good. The sprite work and music really sells this empty and lonely vibe. We then come up to this pedestal, and Dracula's parts recombine into, well, take a guess. And you remember the Sacred Flame item from earlier? Yeah, that just breaks this fight in half. Watch this. So Dracula actually dies this time, and we get one of 3 really badly translated endings. One where Simon dies while killing Dracula, one where Simon kills Dracula, but Dracula comes back as a zombie, and one where Simon kills Dracula, and that's it. And after beating Castlevania 2, I can only come to one conclusion. This game is fucking mid as shit. It's not frustratingly bad, but it's more just like disappointing, especially given how much I love the first game. It's a little upsetting to watch this game fall flat on its face. Not a lot though, because I've played the later games in the series and I know that they're great. It's got good ideas too. The premise is cool and unique, the music is awesome, and an open Castlevania has been proven to work. They just executed the gameplay in such a bleh way that it didn't really have the chance to capitalize on the concept. Honestly, Konami should remake this as a proper Metroidvania. That'd be dope. Although I doubt they would because, well, Konami is Konami. But anyways, next up is Castlevania 3. That may take a bit because that game's hard, so see ya!